Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is my daily ramble. I hope you are all well. If you are new to this channel, as I always say, please subscribe, drop a like on the video because it does really help us. And don't forget, head over to the, where's my finger? Head over to the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. If you like your tea and your coffee, who don't, use our discount code Claret15. Get yourself a nice juicy discount. You'll find the link in the description. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today? Got plenty to talk about today. So we'll briefly look ahead to the Freiburg game tomorrow because, as we know, European football is back. We've got a good tie, very winnable tie as well. I'm going to talk about the Ben Johnson contract. I'm going to talk about a new potential manager. And I'm going to talk about what could have been and some other targets that we're currently linked with and what could have been in terms of a big player that we almost signed, very, very close, but the pin was pulled on this deal. You will not believe this one. Okay, so first of all, look, I suppose we'll start in order. So Freiburg, we go away to Freiburg tomorrow. Kingy, who has not long been in England, has now managed to get himself tickets to the game, so he's now flying over to Germany. I think he's flown. I think he's over there now. So he's gone over there. Whether he's getting into the game or not, I'm not too sure. But he's gone out there to soak up the atmosphere, be with the West Ham faithful. I think that we should beat Freiburg. I know that they had a good result against Bayern Munich. I think they drew 2-2. But we've played them twice. We've beat them twice. That's kind of not with our best teams either. Whether or not he'll rest players, I'm not too sure. There might be a couple that he rotates. Well, I say that. One. I think Zuma will probably have to come out because we don't want to risk him. Even though I'd be quite happy for him to be replaced at this point. But in David Moyes' mind, he's a captain. He's got to play. He's the one that starts. So I think that we know that he can't play 2 games in a week. It's highly likely that we'll see him rested and maybe Aguero brought back in or Ogbonna. I don't know. I don't think we'll see too many more changes than that. I mean, if we can get the job done. And get maybe, I'm not writing Freiburg off. I know they're a good team. But if we can get a good, juicy lead, then you might see more changes the following week. Because the games are going to start getting harder as of next weekend. Not this weekend. Because we've got Freiburg, Burnley, Freiburg. And then the hard games start. Then you've got Aston Villa. You've got Newcastle away. You've got Tottenham. You've got all these teams that they're starting to come at us. You've got to think that we're gonna kind of go through against Freiburg, which is great. So we'll get into a quarter final, but that means that we're going to have Thursday sandwiched in amongst those games again as well. So it's going to start getting more and more difficult. We know we've got a small squad. So is he going to just play the same 11 in every game, or is he going to prioritise? Well, I don't know. I'm not too sure. But we will see. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to have to be a decision for him. Because, like I say, I do think that we will progress into the next round of the Europa League. It's hard to think that we won't, to be quite honest. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be more interesting to see what happens on Sunday, I suppose. Because I suppose depending on this result, say, for instance, it goes the other way and we have a bad result in this one. We lose 1-0. And we've got to turn it around in the home leg, which is, I think that's a really weird kickoff, isn't it, next week? It's like a 5:30 kickoff, 5:45 kickoff. Then will David Moyes rest players against Burnley on the Sunday? Will he do that? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what the man does. We know that he prioritised Europe when we was in the Conference League, but that was probably because he thought that we had a very, very, very good chance of winning that, so I could understand it. Does he feel the same about this competition? Don't know. I don't know. Right, on to Ben Johnson. I'm sure you've all heard the news. We know that there's been talks all season about Ben Johnson wanting a certain amount of money and the club not willing to pay it. The club apparently want him to stay. Ben Johnson wants to stay. He's in the last few months of his contract now. He's apparently got offers on the table, but he's still, if he gets the deal that he wants, he would prefer to stay at West Ham. So we're told. And we're refusing. We're refusing to pay him what he wants. And it ain't a lot of money. You know, apparently there's been noises coming from the boardroom saying, I ain't paying 50 grand for a BJ from Sullivan. He won't do it. He won't pay him 50 grand a week. He will not do it, which is ridiculous, right? You know, Ben Johnson is a good squad. He's a really good squad player. He is. He's a very good squad player. He can play anywhere along the back line, anywhere in midfield. For a team that have got a small squad, to have someone that sort of dynamic, that sort of utility player. I mean, look at the job that he did when he came in at midfield. It's mad, and he ticks the homegrown player quota as well. So to not be willing to pay a player like him 50 grand a week, I mean, why? Why not? We paid Danny Ings 120 grand a week, for fuck's sake. And he's contributed about as much, if not more, than Danny Ings this year. So I really don't understand the logic in it. I don't. The only thing that I can assume is, because like I said to you, I do believe that David Moyes is gone at the end of the season, irregardless of what's happening. So I think that this decision, I don't believe that it's going to be entirely Sullivan's fault, Sullivan's doing. I think this could be quite ruthless from the club, as in, Tim Stein and his team may have their eyes on other players. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I think if we wanted to keep him, we'd keep him. That's my honest opinion, because he's a player that he wants to stay. But I think if Tim saw him as part of his project, then he would convince Sullivan to pay that money. So I don't know. I'm not too sure what's going on there, really. But, well, I'll tell you what, we'll leave the new prospective manager until the end of this video. Because if you look now on News Now or anywhere at the moment, I know we was linked with Dybala. That's a load of debollocks, that is. Well, that might not be. It's a bit of a weird one. Romano linked it, so there could be something in it. I don't know, but I can't see that happening. Do you know what I mean? Other than that, though, the players that we're linked with are all unknowns. There's not even any point me naming them to you, because you wouldn't know the fuck they were, which is saying to me, and they're all sort of 20-something, 19, 20, 21. You're talking between 5 and 20 million pound in value for these players. It looks like the pearl diver is hard at work. Now, what this says to me is that this is a bit of an insight into what we're going to see in the summer. Now, we know that, well, I don't know. I've heard from some sources that Lucas Paqueta's court case is cleared, which means that he will absolutely be moving on in the summer. But I've not seen it confirmed anywhere. I've seen some stories saying it has, but I've not seen any clarification. I was kind of hoping it was going to run until beyond the transfer window, so he was stuck with us. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, which means that Tim's going to have loads of money. He's going to have loads of money to spend. He'll be able to make a pearl necklace with all the little pearls that he's going to be able to go and uncover. So it's quite exciting, and again, it shows you the direction that we're going in. Now, look, does it mean that we're going to go and sign him and this, that, the other? No, but there's no smoke without fire. We're linked with a lot of unknown young kids at the minute, so it's really exciting. That is a direction that it looks like we're going to be going in the summer. The Red Bull thing, which David Moyes said that he was going to do. His version was Red Bullshit, though, wasn't it? So it looks like we're actually going to be moving ahead with that. Now, this is a story that I've got, and do you know what? I've had it confirmed. So if anyone wants to throw shit at me, you can. In terms of officially as well, you can, because I've got proof of this, and my mind was blown. And that was we all know Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez is, don't we? Plays for Liverpool. Took ages to get going, but he's scoring now, scoring for fun. He's a fantastic player. He works tirelessly. He runs his arse off. The Liverpool fans love him. He would have been ideal for West Ham, the perfect striker, because he does not stop running. He's a big physical unit. He's selfless, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Well, in August of 2021, Darwin Nunez, before he was kind of a big deal that he is now, was offered to West Ham. In fact, the deal was almost done for 35 million euros, I think it was, which back then was around about 30 million quid. But it weren't money up front. It was a delayed payment, if you like. So it was a loan with an obligation to buy. So you basically get him on loan for a fee, and then you pay the remainder of what's left over a set period, 36 months or something like that, or the duration of his contract, which would have been 4 to 5 years. So that would have been the deal, 30 million. We would have had Darwin Nunez. I think that's how you say his name, Nunez. I'll just call him Nunez. Yeah, we could have had him. It was literally put on a plate for us. Almost happened, but apparently that was the summer when Mr. Newman came in, Rob Newman. David Moyes got involved, wasn't that keen. decided to mess around with a deal, started sort of trying to use their own intermediaries and trying to squeeze even more out of it. And then relationships broke down. Basically, they didn't want the player and they fucked it up, is what they did. That's exactly what happened. Sullivan was actually in favour of the deal. But yeah, completely fucked it up. They just, we missed out on a £30 million deal for Darwin Nunez, which wasn't a try before you buy, but it was, it was a deferred payment. He was a star player. But part of the reason was because, David Moyes, pretty unproven at that point. He's in the Portuguese league, hadn't really done too much amazing, I don't think, up to that point. But then he went on. We know that we sold Haller to Ajax, didn't we? The January of 2021. So this would have been the replacement. We'd sold Haller August 2021. This would have been the replacement. So absolutely mental. Didn't happen. Moyes wasn't that bothered. Apparently we had an opportunity again to go again to a degree in the January. Moyes wasn't that keen. Then, later on, once we saw Nunez was banging in goals and he was doing well, then David Moyes decided that he wanted him. Well, at this point, he was worth 50, 60, 70 million. And then Liverpool went and bought him for whatever they bought him for, 80 million, 90 million. We missed the boat. You only get one chance to buy players like that, of that level. You do. You have to be smart. You have to be cute. You have to take risks. If you don't take risks, like we should have done with Osman in the summer, it was apparently, Moyes again didn't want to take the risk. Too risky, not Premier League proven. What are we? I mean, 1 minute they're saying, we're not a rich club. We can't compete with the big teams. We can't pay 80, 90 million. No. So you've got to be a little bit more clever with the way that you do your business. You've got to go out and buy them before they're 80 or 90 million. And then you sell them for that much. That's how you compete with the big boys. With smart business. That's how you do it. But yeah, there's other players as well, which I won't go into right now. But that's the most shocking. We could have had Darwin Nunez in 2021, August of 2021, to fill that hole that Haller left or didn't leave, regardless how you want to see it. But he would have replaced Antonio. How good would that have been? Now, if we'd have had him, we might not still have had him. We might have sold him. But how much would we have sold him for? So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Right, managerial news. It's been reported elsewhere, and I've heard about this for quite a while as well. And that's that Marco Silva. Marco Silva is being lined up, or could be lined up, to take over at West Ham following David Moyes leaving in the summer. Could have been a manager that was being lined up in the summer just gone as well. Could have been. But could you imagine that? But I'm not being funny. The players that we've got. I mean, look at what he's doing with Fulham. Player for player, they're not in the same league, but they play football far and away better than us. But we all remember sort of Silva delaying his contract. If you remember, he was supposed to be going to Saudi, but he didn't go in the end. He stayed at Fulham. Was it Saudi? Was it West Ham? We'll never know. But yes, we know that we know that there's a link there. We know that the Board are interested. We know that he managed at Hull when Bowen was there. We know that there's a link there as well. He was very good at Hull. So yeah, it would be. Look, we know that Fulham are currently, they're not higher in the league, but they're a better football team than West Ham because they're just better to watch. They're a free flowing team. They're fucking brutal. We saw that, the rough end of it. 5-0 we got battered. We've got to play them again in a few weeks as well. So could you imagine that? Imagine Marco Silva at West Ham. Would you be in favour of that? I would be. I'd be well excited by Marco Silva. I've got to be honest, with the players that we've currently got and are set to be bringing in as well. Not that I know too much about them. I can only surmise as to the flavour of player that we're going to be getting, and it's going to be flair and attacking and pace, speed. We're going to have pace everywhere. I reckon we are. I reckon West Ham are going to have whippets all over the field, fullback, midfield, wingers. We're going to have pace everywhere. We're going to be like a swarm of wasps. It's going to be amazing. So no, look, I'm very, very excited for next season. Like I said, people don't want to hear it, but as far as I'm concerned, I think David Moyes' days are numbered. He ain't going to be here next year, regardless of what happens. Tim Stein didn't come in to sit behind David Moyes. So this is this obviously natural progression. The players that we're linked with, it is exciting. Are we going to keep Paqueta? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. He might decide to stay, depending on who the next manager is. But look, before I go, I want to give a quick shout out because I know, and this was a messy ramble, by the way. I've had a busy few days, a very, very busy few days. We've set up the Claret and Boo support network. That went live on Monday. Got some absolutely amazing people in there. It's been brilliant. It's been tough, but brilliant and very rewarding. Probably the most rewarding time for me since I've even started doing this channel. You know, already helping people. It's fantastic. It really is. So, hello, a big hello to everyone in that group. Yeah, we'll reveal more about what we're doing in there a little bit later. It's still very early. It's early days. We're still trying to find our way, trying to structure it and put the right mechanisms in place to help people. But it's working. It's working. It's a fucking miracle. I've got to be honest. And I'm so glad and happy that the people that have offered to come in and help are just brilliant. Because I don't know. We would never have been able to cope with it on our own. So it's just people helping people. I've put the platform in place, but it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So well done to everyone that's joined, everyone that's helping, everyone that's sharing. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Honestly, proper West Ham family. It is. We was always a family club, and I think this sort of proves it. It proves that the West Ham family thing isn't dead. It's not. It is if you look on Twitter, which I haven't since the weekend. I've actually had a few days off, and do you know what? I don't miss it. I think that's it for me. I think that's it. Honestly, I think I'm done with Twitter. Okay, look, I'm going to stop boring you now anyway. If you did enjoy that really discombobulated and messy ramble, then drop a like on the video. And we'll be back after the game tomorrow. All right, speak to you soon. Gammon your heads.